I am Jasmin Bauomy. I am a journalist and I am an artist. And those two things don't usually go together. We're quite skeptical of each other. Journalists think I'm too much into arts and the stories and the dramaturgy of it all. And artists think I'm too much into facts. And so I've decided to live and work in the gray zone in between. And I've started an organization called The Echo, where I bring journalists and artists together to do the thing that they're scared of and lean into the other side, tell a personal story, be a bit artsy, do some factual stuff. And it's called The Echo. And in the end, they make small, short audio pieces. And it's really a revelation. So on the way to doing all that, I came across a few tools that I want to remind you of, because a few of them already know. A few of them, I'm sure you know most of them, actually. And so I just want to remind you of these tools. And in the end, I want to leave you with a big question that I have no answer for, but I'll try. So the first tool, well, let me start off. We've gone through this. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Media's looking sad right now. But there is hope, and I loved hearing the presentations this morning because I'm quite hopeful. I know it looks dire out there, but if we lean into creativity, I think we can make a lot of stuff work for us. Something that I have noticed is that facts are not the thing that necessarily gets everybody on board anymore. We can't seem to agree on a shared truth anymore. And so we're trying to find some kind of form of shared reality. So what do you do when the media building is burning? Other than saying this is fine, you take your tools and you run and you use them somewhere where the fire can't reach them, right? So tool number one is the shapeshifter. It's a superpower. And I'm going to go through some of the case studies. So the continent is something that a lot of you might know. It's from South Africa. And it was established just when, in around 2020, when the traditional media in South Africa was kind of falling apart. And so the founders decided that, you know what, we're not going to build a new newspaper. We're going to slide into your DMs. We're going to find the people where they are, and we're going to deliver quality journalism. And so that's what they did. And they slid into our DMs with the continent and made a PDF newspaper full of fantastic reporting, I have to say, high quality reporting. And they didn't go for the prestige and the everybody should care. They went for the people who cared about quality journalism. And so now they have around 30,000 subscribers and are doing a really fantastic job. And it's a great, great example for somebody hacking the distribution system. And it's something that we should look into. We should look at how does guerrilla marketing do it? Where are the people? And let's try to borrow tactics from other fields and see if we can apply them as journalists. So that would be the first one. Second tool is the time traveler. I love time traveling. Time's a funny thing, and I get to think about it a lot. So very often, facts come at us so fast that we have trouble, processing them. We can see this now in the Trump administration, etc. And sometimes it's great to take a step back and use time to our advantage. And one outlet that did that and was way ahead of their time was the Chimurenga Chronic. Way ahead of their time. So in 2011, they published a newspaper dated for 2008. So 3 years before. Try to do that math in your head. So we're in 2011 and we're writing about something as if it was 2008. Now, why did they do that? Because in 2008, there was a huge wave of xenophobic violence in South Africa. And media couldn't keep up with the news. So so a lot of facts got lost or were intentionally lost. Let's put it that way. That's a big euphemism. So the Chimurenga Chronic went ahead and did all the reporting. This could be called speculative journalism, but they didn't invent facts. They just went and got the reporting that should have been there at the time. And it ended up being a more than 200-page newspaper. It's fantastic, and you can download it and you should read it because it's just so, so rich. And this is just one way to encourage you all to use time to your advantage. For the Echo, for example, for my organization, there's a historian who made a piece, a 5-minute piece, it's called Marjorie, where she tried to call up a historical figure from hundreds and hundreds of years ago to tell that woman, that historical figure, what had happened to her narrative back then. And it was such a great piece. It was picked up by NPR even. So that's just one way to be more creative with your storytelling. Tool 3, formatting has gotten lost there. I'm really sorry. So tool 3 is the jester's shield. And that's not reinventing the wheel. We all know that you can tell a truth in a joke that you might not be able to tell as a journalist, because it might get you into hot waters. So we all know Trevor Noah, et cetera, et cetera. But today I want to talk about 2 cartoonists. So we've got Gado and Zapiro. Gado, a Tanzanian cartoonist who is here. If you can make yourself known, thank you for letting me use your cartoon. Are you here, Gado? Maybe not. He was supposed to be. He said yes. So Gado is a Tanzanian cartoonist who used to work for a Kenyan newspaper and got fired due to political pressure, as he says. And he continued drawing. He continued making cartoons. Zapiro, on the South African side, also continued doing cartoons even after Jacob Zuma sued him for millions. And the reason those 2 could do this is because they called themselves anything but a journalist. And it's not easy. It doesn't mean you get away with everything, but it can make some things easier. I know it from personal experience. If I go somewhere and I say I'm a journalist, some doors will stay closed that would open if I am saying that I'm an artist. Also, I want to say, just on a very pragmatic and practical level, the funding for artists out there is quite established. There's a great structure out there, and they're looking for artists who have something to say. So you can do journalism as an artist. Don't get too confused about the labeling here. You can do great fact-based journalism, but make it really creative. And there's funding for that, and there's residencies for that, and there's support for that. So much for that. And every time I tell people, be more creative, lean more into arts, people raise their eyebrows and they have a few questions. So I want to go through these questions with you. And I do want to do a big disclaimer, because I'm not saying do away with the rigorous fact-checking, the data-based journalism. Those are tools in your toolbox. They're important. I'm talking about expanding your toolbox. I'm not saying anything new that you didn't know yet. I'm just reminding you. So these are just some of the questions. So let's get into the first one. Is this still good journalism, or is this just activism with good aesthetics, Jasmin? Well, one good answer to this is forensic architecture, who some of you might know. It was founded by an architect, A.L. Weissman. And he said, wait, hold on. We can use architects' tools and software to actually do rigorous investigations. So that's what he does and did. Most notably, the killing of Shireen Abu Akleh, the journalist in Palestine, the Al Jazeera journalist, as well as Hind Rajab, the murder of Hind Rajab in Gaza, and so many, many, many more. And what's interesting about this is Eyal says himself, we're subjective. We're always on the side of the victims. And yet they're winning, and they're winning artist awards. They're winning design awards, they're winning art awards, etc., for something that is arguably rigorous, investigative journalism. So if something that is so journalistic, whatever that means anymore, right, keeps winning art awards, then I think we can just get rid of the semantics of this. We can still do fact-based journalism in the artist world and vice versa. Now, the next one is, Jasmin, in the age of AI, well, shouldn't we be using data and fact-based rigorous journalism isn't that our best defense? Yes and no. So counterintuitively, facts and data are the easiest thing to manipulate. And one of the tools that we have in our toolbox is to witness, to be there, to be verifiably in the situation that is happening. One person who does that is Bisen Hauda, who some of you might know from her slogan, "Hi, I'm Bisen, it's the genocide, it's day so-and-so of the genocide, and I'm still alive." What she does, you could argue with me whether that's journalism or not. I've got opinions, I'm not going to judge here. It's very subjective. She takes us along, she shows us the inside of a genocide, and she's quite emotional as she does that. And she keeps winning some of the biggest journalism awards out there. So maybe one of the tools against AI is to be there. I'm not saying falsify any facts, but you can be there and stand straight. And the thing is, the moment you are there, it gives you all the more reason to get your facts right. Because otherwise, you're going to have a credibility issue. Which brings me to my very last question. Jasmin, isn't that a bit woo-woo? We're all becoming artists. Is anybody still going to believe us? I'm not saying you should all become artists. I'm saying think outside of the box. All I can say about this is, personally, I've done it the right way, and I keep doing it the right way. The fact-checking, the rigorous research, all of that, the interviews. But every time, and you tell me if you feel the same way, every time it feels like I'm telling people to take their medicine, eat your spinach, right? And then you just hope and pray that the story has an impact and that it lands. And there's more to this. So I've personally come to the decision that I'm okay paying the price of possibly my credibility if it means that my stories have an impact, if it means that I can give people a glimpse of a shared reality, of a shared truth. Personally, I think it's worth it. And lastly, I just want to say, I don't think we owe people our neutrality as journalists. I think what we do owe them is the consequences of the truth. So I want to leave you all with this one question. If using these tools, if surviving as a journalist and using these tools and becoming creative as a survival mechanism means you're going to lose a little bit of your credibility, and in return, you survive, you might be able to make more money, you might be able to have more impact as a journalist, you're doing all these things. Would you be willing to pick up those tools and go to that improv class and the creative writing class, the screenwriting class, do all the things? Is that a price you're willing to pay? Thank you.